Hello, hello, folks. Welcome to the second live episode of season 7, celebrating 4 years of On the Call. And I'm Ozzy Stewart. I'm very, very happy that you've tuned in with us on this thank you tour of mine, giving flowers to deserving impactors. And I'm shining light on Lauren LoGiudice.
Yes. A lot of people get it wrong. It's okay. It's very confusing.
Whoa. Just before I start, I want to say that this episode I'm wearing this hat, right? And this hat is brought to you, is courtesy of Voodoo Faye, who has allowed actually his art on my audio podcast for this last season, and just a wonderful guy. So here is his hat. It's custom made for me, which can be for you, as well as his sneaks. These are some new sneaks that I got. First time. Yeah. Anyway, so moving on. I am going to talk about Lauren. I'm going to have her sit by and listen to some stuff. If you guys know my audio, I usually talk about the person and then we get into it. So here's what I got. Lauren LoGiudice.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. You did it.
Grew up in Howard Beach section of Queens, New York. After graduating from Wesleyan University, she obtained the American India Foundation William J. Clinton Fellowship Award for service in India. We're going to talk about that. During her tenure in Bangalore, India, she worked with a nonprofit organization that served victims of AIDS and studied Bharata Natyam.
Mm-hmm.
Got to talk about that. After attending Lakme Fashion Week in Bombay, she decided to pursue acting in New York. What? And then she returned and studied at Michael Howard Studios, the Schreiber Conservatory, Scott Freeman, and privately with Lynn Singer, who was very instrumental, apparently, because she started studying vocal production and learned to speak without a New York accent.
Correct.
Which helped her, she says, I heard, tremendously in castings. So, that being said, she got into the TV and film credits include Veep, Bittersweet Monday, Galaxy 360. She also is a Moth Story Slam champ. Her work is featured by the New York Times, BBC, Bust Magazine. Who knew, Miss Lauren? McSweeney's Internet Tendency, Hyperallergic, La Voce di New York, among many others. She's also cast in numerous national and regional commercials. Not an easy thing, folks. Including Zappos' scandalous More Than Just Shoes campaign. I saw that ad. It's hilarious. Oh. Anyway, she also started an autobiographical solo show called Queen's Girl, which toured worldwide. We've got to talk about that. Stockholm Pride invited her to perform Queen's Girl in their cultural festival. The production was noted by Backstage, woo-woo, as a valuable performance and marketing tool. Then Garbo Dreams happened. Got to talk about that. A site-specific play about Greta Garbo. And then what came U-Log with Friends, an interactive video project featured at High Five Gallery with reviews that said that there were influences of Sacha Baron Cohen and Tracy Ullman. Love Tracy.
She's amazing.
Sacha is a trip.
He's a trip.
Anyway, then she gets to the Melania Trump roadshow called Get Out the Vote and Get Me Out of the White House of Garbage, which toured virtually due to the pandemic, and then wrote a book called Inside Melania. Inside Melania. What I learned about Melania Trump from impersonating her, I really would like to know because, God. Anyway, she produced short films, Bridal Party, Yes and No and Reality Check, web series Ciao Grandma. Debuted 15 sketch comedy characters on her YouTube channel. Guys, you got to check that out. Her channel is absolutely amazing, including Principal Mary Poppins. Oh, my God. She has endorsed several nonprofit causes throughout her career, hosted a photography exhibition by Javier Gomez, voted People Magazine's Sexiest Artist Alive to benefit Strengthen Our Sisters, a grassroots community-based nonprofit serving homeless, battered women and children. Heart. big heart. And she's also supported United Cerebral Palsy. Then comes Ancestry.comedy,
Yeah.
a misfit variety show, for anyone who's ever looked at their family and thought, how did I get here? Giving space to DNA surprises, donor conceptions, family genetics, and the absurdity of life in general. She can be found at https www, of course,
LaurenLogi.com.
LaurenLogi.com.
LOGI.
But LaurenLogi.com, but your Instagram is also at LaurenLogi.
Yeah, I keep it simple because when I started in the business and I started doing interviews, I was like, I'm at LaurenLoGiudice.com. Everyone's like, good luck with that one. So I was like, Lauren Logi. Everything's Lauren Logi across the board.
So I'm going to start my first question. I'm going to need to take a sip because
sure,
honey,
I don't know who did all that.
You have been working and you just did something in Philadelphia.
Right.
You're going to do, what are the other dates?
Lehigh Valley, June 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
We will be at Lehigh Valley Arts Quest. I'm excited to bring Ancestry.comedy there.
Yeah.
We're going to be in D.C. September 23rd, New York City September 30th, Bootless Art and Bootless Stageworks November 3rd. So yeah.
And in between now and then, or Lehigh and September, there are going to be things filling in, I know for sure.
100%, yeah.
After university, Miss Lauren.
Yes.
How did you end up in India?
Well, I graduated from college and I didn't come from a family that ever supported the arts, so I never thought this was something even available to me. And so I taught science in Oakland, California.
I heard,
3 years I taught science. And then after that, I was like, it's just not really what I am passionate about. But I started to realize that I like performing a lot. In fact, my success as a teacher was creating this sort of kooky science teacher character.
Right.
And I would blow up things and set off the fire alarm and be like, more power, and like throw things onto the experiment and things would flame up. And so that was kind of my shtick.
Right.
And so then afterwards I was like, I think I want to be a performer, but also maybe I'll do this public health thing, because still, like, coming from a family who just doesn't even like let that go in your imagination, I didn't even know it was possible. So I was like, maybe I'll do this safer public health route. And since I didn't have work experience, or I didn't do that in college, I thought, well, I'll get a fellowship. And then I got this fellowship to go to India. I always wanted to go to India as well.
What a wonderful thing.
So that's what was happening. And then when I was there, I just sort of, like, wherever you go, there you are. My second day there, someone's like, go talk to my friend. She's a Bharata Natyam teacher. And then I just started taking class I didn't know anyone too. So that was the other thing. I was like kind of alone in this city. And I just took class every day and really liked it. Ended up becoming like a junior level Bharata Natyam dancer. And like had a concert at the end. And then I was like, I just got to do what I love to do. I love to perform, and I don't know what this means. I just got to do it.
But you also did some stuff in Italy. What happened there?
Well,
was that after India, or was that when you here?
It was after India. So basically, I came back and hit the ground running, and I just started taking classes because I didn't know what it meant. I knew like one person in the industry, and I knew like I just was gonna take classes with the best people because I'm from New York, so I understand there's a lot of scammers everywhere. So I understand there's a game, and there are scammers everywhere, bullshit people who try to sell courses and things. Right. So I was very like intent on like being around the best people and trying to just get good at this thing. And then I was going to go to Italy for like a Discover My Roots trip because I was always trying to reconnect with my Italianness, considering I don't look Italian. So I was like trying to, like, it was an identity thing, wanting to go back. And I like connecting with performers when I'm abroad. So I looked up this troupe, and they're called Eyes Wild Drag. They hosted me. I was like hanging out at my friend's house, and like we did a show. And then that was really fun. I got really close with them, and they flew me back because they put up this show that I had created. And so that was my relationship with India. And actually I tried to also go there and work in the industry, but it's insane. So that's how that happened.
What's the best country you visited? Because you toured worldwide, and what's your best country experience?
That's hard to say. I really like performing at Sweden. I felt they believe in paying people, which is amazing.
Nice, yes.
And they also were really on it in terms of the tech and very organized in a very chill way. I'd say that was my favorite place.
You did something about a yearly Golden Girls event, which is attended by the Rue Clanahan's Festival. And that stuck to me because Golden Girls, that show is funny.
Yes.
The lines, the writing is amazing.
Yeah.
To this day, I watch it.
It's so good.
Yes.
It stands up.
It's timeless. So what happened?
Right. So I came back to New York, hit the ground running. As you can tell, like all of this is self-generated.
Yes.
I just don't sit still.
Yes.
I make a plan and I go for it.
Right.
And I let things evolve as they may. You know, went from one thing to the other and just like saw where my inspiration was going. And so I hit the ground running. I knew a few people in New York. I knew this Murray Hill, who Murray Hill now has a show, I think on some network, was just in another TV show. I mean, everyone in the New York performing community couldn't be more happy for this person deserves it. So Murray Hill had a show, put me up. It was like Miss Les competition. And so I had these like outrageous characters and I dressed as a drag queen, a drag king who was becoming a drag queen for the night. And so it was this outrageous character. And afterwards, the editor of Go magazine was there and was like, this is whatever you're doing is amazing. Let's do a party for female identified people who are drag queens.
Okay.
So it was a Victoria party. And then we would do theme nights. And one of the most successful was Golden Girls night.
Why do you think that was?
I think because it has a built-in audience. And I think there's something like really random about putting those two things. I mean, they were kind of drag queens in a way, right?
A way, yeah.
Right? So it's like just opening up the idea of gender and identity.
Yes.
And that's kind of what the through line of everything I've done is all about, like exploring identity and what does it mean and
Got it.
figuring that out.
So that being said, what was this thing about Greta Garbo?
Well, that again, okay, so I just want to give context here because I keep talking about identity.
Yes.
So I grew up, I'm very, very tall. I have put my chair down, but I'm very tall. I come from a family of short little Italians, and no one could explain it why. When I would ask, they would say like, oh, it's the Vikings invaded Sicily, and that's why you are who you are. So I was always like searching for who I was. And I saw on the screen one day at my acting teacher's house this deep-throated woman who was tall and had like awkwardness to her. And she comes across the room, her favorite line, like, give me a whiskey and ginger ale on the side. Don't be stingy, baby. And I just fell in love with her. And that's kind of how that happened. I just started learning more about her. And then I decided to do a solo show. And that's how that happened. But I will say mistake too, like, for other people out there, there's so many mistakes in each of these, as I've learned.
Well, that's how we learn, right?
Right. So each of these,
the bigger the mistake, the better, the deeper the learning.
Right, absolutely. Yes. So like the Garbo project, the first reading I did, everyone was laughing. She was this crazy woman in her apartment, and like she had little games going on all over the place. And then I unfortunately had the wrong creative team, who told me I needed to be a dark, intense exploration. And no.
Right.
The original impulse tells you what you're going to do.
Right.
What this needs to be.
Right.
And you need to stick with it. And every time I veer, it's a problem. And so now I listen to that more intensely. So I guess it seems like I've done a lot, but I have fucked up just as much.
And that's how we learn. I want to know, what did you learn about Melania?
Oh, maybe I should come here. So I don't want her talking about me. I don't like it. She gets into my pussies and I say, no. So she writes a book about me, all the things she found out. Okay, maybe my life is not like yours in any way, like anyone in here. My life is not like yours in any way, but one thing, we are the same. We're both waiting for Donald to die. So,
could you imagine? What do you think would have been the reception if there was no COVID and you were on tour at that time, because you did this during COVID? So what do you think the reception would have been?
I think about that a lot. My co-producer and I have banged our heads against the wall thinking about it. Well, it could have been bad. If you want to get dark, I was warned by people who work with white supremacists, don't put your shows on your website. Well, I got to promote them. I wasn't going to listen. It could have been bad. Or it could have been this like triumphant thing that got me famous. I don't know. I like never know. It could have got me killed, or it could be like on TV right now. So I don't know.
But it's a thought. I thought about that a lot when I was doing the research on you. How did you go from sketch comedy to Misfits? What happened?
Well, I mean, thinking about, you mean Misfits the comedy album?
Yeah,
you mean?
The Misfits. The show.
The show. You mean, okay. So a lot of my shows right now have a misfit theme going through them. And that's because I just, you do things enough. You do it. You see, like, what am I saying? Who am I attracting? And the thing that really goes through, even with Ancestry.comedy, which started out being like a very specific thing, but we realized like most people who come to the show haven't done a DNA test. They just feel alienated. They're the runaways of the world. People who don't have like this connection with their family or themselves, and they're just trying to figure it out. And that's kind of like, and then like even this other comedy room I'm developing in Little Italy, we realize we're bringing people who don't go to comedy, who just who feel awkward, and they're like, oh, I haven't left my house in a week, like real the awkwards. That is who I'm attracting. The misfits. And so I just run that theme through everything I'm doing. And funny, after Melania, I didn't know what to do. I was like, all right, this is over. It took me a while. I didn't know what to do. Months of the sadness, the grieving, because it was like a lot of work. And then after January the 6th, we knew it's no longer funny. That's why I'm not bringing her back. It's not funny. It's just not funny. So I thought what to do, and Misfits, the comedy album, I was like, why don't I have all these songs I've written? Why don't I just put them in an album just to like sort of like put a bow on this part of my life? And then little as I know, like Misfits is what was coming for me.
What are some of the issues that you are privy to when you're on stage and you're dealing with the Ancestry.com?
Well, usually what happens, it's interesting, not as much in New York for whatever, maybe we've just gone to a lot of therapy here.
Okay.
But people will start talking amongst themselves. And then I'll be like, what's going on? What trauma have I provoked? And then people will be like, I did a DNA test and I found out I'm not related to any of my siblings, that everyone's dead and I can't find out what's going on. Like that. To just someone being like, yeah, I feel that. So there's definitely like a lot of, I'm holding space for that to happen.
Right.
And I welcome that, because that's exactly what I want. I had people tell me they found and met a new sibling online. Their dad was a hippie and had some fun.
Okay. So do you get into the do you extend the conversation, or you sort of allow them to say what they say and then you move on to another piece of comedy? How do you handle that?
It depends how willing. I have to feel it out, because I don't want to make anyone feel bad. So it depends on how the person. It depends on the audience. The audience is like, oh, because like to me, I hear this stuff every day, but to most people, don't realize this is like most people are like, like what? Oh my god! Right. It's like truth bombs. Yeah. But the crazy thing is, we don't talk about it enough. But every family has stories. Right. Every family.
But in terms of Ancestry.com, do you find that it's, now that you've been doing it for a little while, how long have you been doing it?
I'd say I've been doing it in this current form, I'd say, man, I'm trying to remember October, and then we did it.
So within the last year?
Yeah, it's a year, yeah.
In that time, have you found that there are more and more people coming up with...
Like in the world, or?
In your world right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, just because, yes and no. I'd say the same. I just feel like ever since I found out about the sperm donation thing, which is about 3 years ago, I just meet more and more people who have these, because more people feel comfortable telling you if you've said it. They'll come up to you and be like, "This happened to me."
Is that before the show or after the show?
After the show and during, yeah, now, which I'm excited. I like the during. I let the let's throw the script out. I am happy to throw my entire set to just talking to someone about this and making it a community conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
To
It's
be
fun
able to do that. Yes.
Yeah.
Because then maybe, in them, they're also finding their community within your community.
Yep.
And so you are helping them.
Right, and everyone gets connected to each other because we've just exposed like a really beautiful thing and people have seen it. And so then you're creating a bonded community in that experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. What is your future vision for this concept?
For Ancestry.comedy, I mean, ideally, it would be great to get some funding and be able to tour it properly. That would be in a European tour as well, because I think some of the themes do resonate there. And then it'd be great to make it into a TV show. That'd be fun. And a podcast, perhaps. Yep, that's in the works. But
yeah, there's a space for you to do it too. Anyway, have you experienced hecklers and how do you deal with them?
People ask me that a lot. Like, not as much as you might think. But I am never mean.
Right.
So I always like compliment before I destroy. And usually they're happy about it because I'll be like, "I love you. Look at you. You're so drunk. I could sneeze and you're going to fall over." And then they're like, "I'm so drunk." And I'm like, "All right, sweetie." I'm like, "Someone give her a hug, like just come on. Or like, did they take you in are you a little stray cat that they took in? Like, who are you? Like, come on. But I always say, like, I love you, but I try to do that. Because that usually calms people. They just want attention. They just need attention. Everyone's like 5 years old.
Right? Yeah. Is there anything that you would not joke about?
I think you could joke about anything if you're good enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other comedians do you look up to?
I love Maria Bamford because talk about someone who talks about the hard stuff. She, like, in the middle of her set, she'll be like, "So is anyone thinking about suicide?" She's so right there. Oof. I deeply admire her. Ashley Gavin's another comedian I know and I admire greatly for her persistence.
Shout out to those.
Yeah.
What is the most memorable moment you've had so far in your comedic life?
The most fun I think I've ever had, well, it was like a triumph because like I went into a place in which I knew everyone was expecting me to fail. They booked me and they were like, "Yeah, you're going to burn in this place. So you're going to crash. It's going to be bad." And I was able to figure out how to win the crowd over, and then I won them over. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was pretty great. I don't know if you want to hear the story, but that's what happened.
Yes, I want to hear the story.
So I was just in San Francisco, and I did really well. I crushed, and I started getting booked everywhere. And I get to come over to Oakland by Lake Merritt. There's a show we want you to do. I get there. There's like me and 2 other people. Like there's not even really a real stage. It's a working class black bar. I walk in. Everyone's like, "Who's this white bitch? Like, what the fuck is she gonna do?"
Right.
So I get up there, and I'm like, "All right, just gotta connect." And I was like, "Hey, look who's gentrifying the comedy show!" Like, all right, just went right for it, just acknowledged, And then I was like, "Hey, I was a teacher in Oakland, so like." Then we started talking about that. Yes. Yeah, we have something in common. Yes. Who went to what school? And then I did a few jokes about that. Yes. And then I turn around. And I give people compliments, like I said. Like, I was like, "Oh, I love this woman. Look at her, the glasses. Yeah." And we were like, yeah. And then I'm like, "Oh, I love you." To this guy. I was like, "I love you. I love your outfit." I was like, "I like how your yellow jersey matches your gold teeth." And everyone in the place was like, what? And then they were laughing, and then I was more awkward. It's like, I meant it as a compliment. I didn't mean it as a roast. I didn't mean it as, and I was like, and then they were laughing. And then the DJ, I see him pass the guy a microphone. And then I was like, cool, give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. What do you got? Roast me. And then he goes, you look like you have a lot of cats. And so the place like balled out, and I was laughing too. And I like, yes, and I was like, yeah. And I stuffed them in the position that they died. So I was like posing as the cats, and I was sitting on a chair, and I was posing as the, and then I did a few more jokes, move for crowd things, come back to him, and I would come back to him a few times, and then I was like, oh man, you and me, we got to have a business. Yeah. Like we're gonna have a stuffed cats business. Mm-hmm. And he goes, yeah, but you got to do the stuffing. I said, well, that's what my girlfriend says. And then I dropped the mic. It was like mic drop. All right, thank you and good night. And then, but that was like, yeah, huge triumph.
So at this point in your life, what do you want to achieve?
Well, I would love to, I really want to be playing characters on television, and then because I feel like you're able to reach a lot of people that way. And especially when you have like authentic weirdos on screen, that really resonates, especially with the youth. So I would love to be able to do that and then transfer that into doing more shows. I want to be ultimately I want to be the wacky aunt, and then I want to do a tour, the wacky aunt advice show, and I just tour around and I just bring people up and give them weird advice.
That's like me. I really want to play your mother and your grandmother and your aunt and whatnot, and it's okay if I could do it in the accent, whether it's Portuguese or Middle Eastern and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'll take the role. Thank you very much. Anyway, what concerns you about the world today?
What concerns me? I think it concerns me is like people can't have a conversation with anyone because everyone's basing their knowledge, like their opinions are based on a different set of facts.
Right.
And how can we even have a conversation if we don't even agree on what's truth?
Right.
That's very hard.
Right. And AI apparently isn't helping in that. Have you heard what's happening now with AI?
Yeah.
Okay. Does not help. So how has COVID affected you? Positively or negatively?
Well, I try to just think of the blessings. This is the Grateful Show. So I think of it, maybe it saved me. The Melania tour, I don't know what that was going to do. Yeah. It could have been a disaster. I don't know, in many ways. Yeah. Could have killed me emotionally. I'm grateful. My life ended up better for COVID.
Have you learned anything about yourself since COVID? Anything different?
Yeah, well, I learned, COVID took me out of an environment I was in, a comedy environment with very negative people. And then I realized I'm just replicating the conditions of my family. And it's not okay to be around people who are dragging you down. And I realized that when I was removed, I'm never going to do that to myself again. Okay. Unless I'm getting paid a lot of money. And then I'll just pay for therapy after. If I'm paid a lot of money, maybe.
Give me 2 things that you're grateful for.
Well, I'm grateful for people like you that I meet online. I mean, it's so cool. Yeah. Like, the online space, I really just try to it's all about just bringing forward people who are doing something different and wanting to make their voices heard. I think it's a beautiful thing what you're doing, and yeah, it's important. It's important. Second thing would be, well, I'm grateful for my health because as my grandfather said, if you don't have that, you got nothing.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Correct. So future dates and locations again? Yeah,
so you can I encourage, whenever you listen to this, if you're interested in what I'm doing, go to LaurenLogi.com. And you could sign up for my email list, and I send it once a month, and it keeps you updated on what's going on. And I say things I probably wouldn't say on social. I don't say on social, so you can catch that, get some inside info, and then if I have a discount, I'd give it to my email list. So yeah,
you're very generous, and those are the aspects that really endeared me to you, and when I saw what you were doing, which was, using your comedy for good, using your space to help others, to allow others to reveal safely and become part of a community that it probably would not have had, and maybe that has helped them. That really, and then when I saw your show, it was really hilarious.
Ah, thank you.
Man, it was fun.
Yeah, and it changes every time. So
Yes.
yeah.
So thank you very, very, very much. I want to tell you, I wanted you to know that I see you, I hear you, and you matter greatly.
Thank you.
And thank you to Voodoo Faye for my hat and sneaks, and to JC, Rick, Antoine, Alexa, Ahmad, and Podcast Central, and to you, my audience, for spending your valuable time with us today. Please care to share. And remember, when you're on your beat, stay on the sunny, sunny side of the street safely. And don't forget to be health conscious, kind to one another, give thanks for the little and big gifts as we all strive to live a beautiful life. Thank you. All right. Oh, thank you for coming.
Thank you. So fun.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. This is great.
Yes.
Hey there at AussieStewart.com or supporting us at anchor.fm/AussieStewart. That's ANCHOR.FM/AussieStewart. And don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel at Aussie Stewart. Yep. Leave a comment.